I made a video a couple months back about Cyberpunk and the state of the game. However, since then, we have had a massive update known as the 2.0 update, as well as the Phantom Liberty DLC that just came out. This video will only be over the 2.0 update and will not be over the Phantom Liberty update, as I would like to get a little bit more hands-on with Phantom Liberty before I make a video on it. So for starters, 2.0 has completely changed the game when it comes to your skill tree. The base game itself is still exactly the same. Do not expect it to be any different. The story is still the same. The way you go through it is still the same. Your decisions will lead to the same stuff at the end, unless you got the Phantom Liberty DLC, which we'll go into in the next video. But your skill tree is completely different. So if you come in with an old save, your skill tree is completely wiped and you will have to respec into everything. Do know that when you spec into your skill tree, you can only reset your skill tree once. You will not be able to change it infinite amounts of times like we were able to before. However, each node in each slot, such as if you go under reflexes or cool, you will be able to change each node as many times as you want. However, you can only change the whole tree once. So I'll put a link in the bio for where you can go online and pre-spec into a skill tree to see where you want to go with it, go through each skill, see what's going on there, and then decide how you want to play the game. Because these skills will completely alter what you can and cannot do in the game. So with the skill tree in mind, do be aware that the tech skill tree is going to be one of the most important skill trees that you use, because that goes into cyberware. So armor is no longer tied to your clothing. Armor is tied to cyberware. Before, you would have to wear certain pieces of armor in order to make sure that you had the correct level in order to survive. However, now your clothing is no longer tied to armor. You can wear whatever you want. You can still transmog, that's still in the game. However, cyberware is where you're going to get all your armor from. But you have a limit to the amount of cyberware you can have on at one time. So in order to increase that, you have to spec into the tech skill tree. If that's not something you want to do and you want to go hardcore and just do it without cyberware, be my guest. It will make the game much more difficult. Also, cyberware does have special buffs based off of the skills that you've spec'd into. So some of them are more tuned to tech, some of them are more tuned to net running, and others are tuned to cool, for instance. Be aware that your cyberware limit will also limit how much you can do, and it will change how you play the game. So your skill tree is where you're going to start. You're going to spec into that. You're going to move on to your cyberware, figure out what you're going to use, and that's going to change how you play. Do know that this game is much harder than it was before, as when the game first came out, the difficulty very hard was almost laughable at how easy it actually was, especially when you got halfway through the game and your skill tree was pretty much done. However, now, very hard is excruciatingly hard at times. I have died so many times to ways that I would never have died to in the original updates. However, now, it is a lot more slow pace that you're going to need to take in certain situations in order to not get absolutely wrecked by everybody inside of the building. Now, when it comes to the NCPD, there's been an update for them as well. Before, if you committed a crime, the cops would be called on you, and they would just spawn out of thin air. However, now, they no longer do. There are cops that patrol on the streets, and there are also cops that patrol the cars. When you commit a crime and they notice you, they will be called on you immediately. If you commit a crime against somebody else just randomly, the cops can still be called on you, but they will have to come and find you. It is more of a star system now, so as you continue to commit crimes or you kill cops, then the star system will continue to go up, much like GTA, and you will have to evade the cops. They are much less of a nuisance now than they were before. The only nuisance is trying to get away. So the 2.0 update has added a lot. However, NVIDIA has also added something called DLSS 3.5. So DLSS 3.5, what is that? It is, at its simplest core, AI that upscales all of the graphical settings for your game, including ray tracing. Before, DLSS 3.0 was originally only for 40 series cards. However, DLSS 3.5 is for all RTX cards. So that means that even if you have an RTX 16 series, you will see a bump in frames when it comes to Cyberpunk. Will it run at 120 frames? Probably not. But you will get better frame rates than you did before. And some cards, such as the 30 series, can actually run above 60 frames a second with ray tracing on. Now, is Cyberpunk worth coming back to after all these years? If you have never played this game before, it is currently 33% off. So I believe that is perfect timing to jump in. I have a strong bias with the game. I absolutely love Cyberpunk, and I feel like the world that they've given us is absolutely amazing. However, from a non-biased standpoint, if you have already played this game, you feel as though you have completed everything, maybe you 100% of the achievements, then by all means, don't jump back in. If you want to see what 2.0 is about, then jump in. The update is completely free as long as you are on PC, PS5, or the Xbox Series X. Any of the older consoles will not be getting the 2.0 update, and they will not be getting the Phantom Liberty DLC, so remember that if you are playing on older gens. But if you have already played the game and you did not like it, do not jump back into this game because it has not changed. It has gotten a little bit more difficult, but that's about it. The game itself runs much better than it did at launch by every single possible means. But if you did not like the core aspect of the game, you didn't like how it played, you didn't like the story, then it is not worth your time jumping back into. Again, if it is your first time jumping into Cyberpunk, then right now is prime time to jump in, as it is on sale, I believe, until October 1st. So, I'm going to continue to keep playing the game. I will let you all know what I think of Phantom Liberty here in a couple of days. And until then, I hope to see you guys on Night City.